So hello guys and welcome back to another video. As you guys can see, I just bought a new mic. I played a little bit with the settings and now I'm ready to record. So this is the game that I've played in the Swiss tournament yesterday. It was a 3+2 format and this is the last round. I placed in 10th place. Okay, I shared the 10th place. The tie breaks were a little bit different, but this is the game from the last round. So let's see. We have my opponent. I'm playing with the black pieces, by the way. My opponent here played e4. I played e5, and here he played knight f3. And as you guys know, I love knight f6. Here he took the pawn, and here I went for a little bit of a trickier line. I went knight takes on e4. The classical main line is d6, but this is also a very viable line. Here the main move is queen e2, but d3 is also played. Knight f6, and now he played knight back to f3. Here bishop c5, eyeing that f2 square, but now just knight c3, and here I castled. You know, I said my opponent, if he's not gonna castle, then I'm gonna castle. He played d4, attacking my bishop, but now I played the bishop b4, and here he played bishop d2, unpinning, and here I played d5. Taking some space in the center myself. He played a3, and here I decided to take the knight and have a little bit of a fight. So bishop takes c3. Now of course he doesn't want to ruin his pawn structure. He plays bishop takes on c3. But now I come in with knight e4, attacking the bishop. And here surprisingly, you know, I thought he was gonna go back bishop d2, or maybe even come to b4, but here he just went for bishop d3, now making way for castles. But I played knight takes on c3. Here he played b takes on c3, and I played rook e8 check, and here he played bishop e2. So that's why it was important earlier in this position, after bishop takes knight e4, that he played bishop e2 right away, because with bishop d3 he just lost the tempo. So coming back to this position, he played bishop back to e2, and now I played queen e7. So now he's unable to castle, because if he castles, he just loses the bishop. So here I went for here he went for queen d3, and I went for bishop g4. Here he played h3. But a better move was to actually castle, because now I'm unable to take the bishop, because if queen takes on e2, then simply rook f to e1, and here you have to, if you take the queen, of course you're getting mated. Queen takes d3, simply rook takes e8, it's mate. So after this rook f to e1, you have to take on f3, but now he takes the queen, you take the rook. But now rook to e1, and after you develop the knight, you simply rook captures, and queen takes on e2, and now white has a queen for knight and the rook, and it's probably gonna win this game. So here he played h3, and now I played bishop back to h5, and here he lashes out with g4. This is not a very good move, because now he will be unable to castle and will have very big weaknesses on the king side. So we have bishop g6, now attacking the queen backs up to d2, and now I take this moment to just develop the knight. I develop the knight, and now he goes king f1. Of course you cannot castle, as you're gonna lose the bishop, as previously shown. If you castle, now simply queen captures is possible, because there is no more rook f to e1, because now I simply just take the knight, and if you take the rook, I have another rook defending. So after this knight e7, we have king f1, and here knight f6. I wanted to put my knight into e4. Here he played rook e1, and now the engine says that I should have taken the pawn, and you know, after bishop d3 played knight e4 only then. But after rook e1, I immediately went knight e4. This is not a big mistake. Here I'm attacking the queen, so he played queen e3, and here I had a tactic that I missed. I have to mention again, this is a 3+2 game, so this is the tactic that I missed. Here I should have played knight to g3 check. And of course you cannot take the knight, and then you just simply lose the queen. Here, and after this knight g3 check, if you play king g2, I take the rook. I didn't see that, and I simply missed that. There's nothing more to say about this. So after queen e3, I played the queen takes on a3. This is again not a bad move. Here he surprisingly played the queen f4, allowing me to take the c3 pawn also, but his idea was to go h4. Now you have to stop this pawn expansion, or else h5 is gonna trap your bishop. So I played h5 myself. And here, if you play something like g4, then the structure is simply locked up, and I can take yet another pawn. I'm defending my c7 pawn. I'm 3 pawns up, and how you're gonna stop the a pawn? You know, this site is completely locked down. Okay, you will drop your knight in here in the future, but I mean, you know, my threats are lurking. So anyways, we have in this position we have g takes on h5. He tries to open up some lines, so we have bishop takes on h5, and now we have rook h3. And this rook h3 maneuver, you know, maybe sets up some discoveries with the knight, but what I think he wanted to is protect this knight one more time. So here I played a very bad move. Here I miscalculated the move order. Here I thought knight d2 check worked, because here he could have, if he went for knight d2, then this is of course losing. Queen h3 check just picks up the rook, but king g2 is also losing. Bishop takes on f3 check, bishop takes on f3 check, and now rook takes on e1. And the similar thing is also, sorry about that, a similar thing is also if he went for king g1, simply knight takes on f3 now, and it's the same thing. But after this knight d2 check, he can simply take with the queen, and now I have just lost a piece. There's still a fight because I have 2 pawns for the piece, but after this queen takes on d2, queen takes on d2, knight takes on d2, bishop takes on d2, rook takes on e2, you can really see that he is the only one that's gonna push for the win. So instead of this knight d2 check here after rook h3, I should have played bishop takes on f3 first, and here you have to take with the bishop, because you know, if you take with the rook, then simply knight d2 check wins a rook. Actually, it wins 2 rooks. No, bishop takes on f3 and rook takes on e1. Now I'm 2 rooks up for a bishop, and here after this bishop takes on f3, you have to take with the bishop, and after knight d2 check, king g2, rook takes on e1. Here you might have some counterplay, but what I found most savage about this position is that here the queen is under attack and the f7 pawn is under attack. You cannot defend both, so the engine move is queen takes on c2. Of course, it's not a very hard move to find. You can find it because after this queen takes on f7 check, now you play king h8, because if you play king h7 now, white has king h7, king h5, queen h5, sorry, and this is checkmate because the g8 square is covered by the bishop. So that's why you play king h8, and now if white delivers the same check, you can simply block it with the queen, and this is of course gonna happen. So if your opponent instead tries something like rook g3, simply queen h7. Now the g7 pawn is defended, the 8th rank is also defended, and of course the e file is occupied by the black rook. So here you could try something like bishop takes on b7, but simply rook a2 e8, and now black is stable and you're just gonna lose because you're rook down. So anyways, after this knight d2, queen takes on d2, queen takes on d2, knight takes on d2, bishop takes on e2, rook takes on e2. Here again I had another chance. Here I should have taken the rook, and after you know, king takes, play something like a5, try to create a pass pawn here and promote it, but I simply I couldn't calculate, so I simply went for rook f8, but this is just too passive. Rook b3, now attacking the b7 pawn, b6 defending, but simply knight f3. Here I should have played rook f2 e8, but again I played f6 trying to restrict the knight. Rook e7, And here is the last chance. I should have played rook f7 and traded the rooks, but here I played rook a to c8, and now I'm just completely losing. Rook c3, attacking the c7 pawn. Here I played c6 and allowed the rook captures on a7. King h7, rook b7, c5, rook takes on b6, c takes on d4, rook takes on c8, rook takes on c8, and knight takes on d4. And as you guys can see, I have no counterplay. Rook c4, knight f5, rook takes on c2, rook b7, king g6, knight takes on g7, and now rook c4, h5 check, king h6, and knight e8. Here I just took the pawn, allowed the knight takes on f6 with check, but this was also played on low time, and unfortunately after this knight takes on d5, I played king f5, and this allowed knight e3 check, and I simply resigned the game after this move. But going back to this knight e2 check, I completely dominated him, and it was a very good game played in the Petrov, and this gives me a lot of hope for my Petrov. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and this video with a better quality in terms of the sound, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Kowalski out.